So what I want to do just for a very quick moment, if I can take your time, is run through the process of making an internet comic or a web comic, as they're called. So the first thing we do, or I always do, is start with the idea. So I will come up with an idea on a particular subject, and then I'll do what's called a bullet point list, which basically means I'll just try and get across each of the key points that are going to be in the comic. Most comics have 4 panels. Panel number 1 will introduce the subject matter. Panel number 2 will basically provide some sort of context. Panel number 3 will generally build on that and make it relatable, something that the people can understand. And panel number 4 will be the joke. That's generally how it works. What's the problem? Relate to it, have a joke. So this particular one is all about the fact that wolves are endangered in America, and they're not on the endangered species list. So I've got an idea where I want a wolf to meet a dog, because wolves and dogs are ancestors. And then the dog will say, or the wolf will say, oh, like, hey, what's it like being a dog? What's happened? What's happened in the last few thousand years since, our paths have separated? The dog might look confused and be like, I wonder what has happened. And then he might say, I hope I spelled confused correctly. Well, we got collars. And it's just a very simple joke. The idea is, in this case, is like, what I'm trying to do here is point out, why do we treat dogs with so much love and wolves with so much contempt? And what you do in a webcomic is then say, well, let's take that initial idea. Why do we treat dogs so well and wolves so badly? Then I come up with this idea of saying, well, wouldn't it be funny if they met? That would be like, two ancestors, two old family friends meeting again after years. And what might happen between those two people? Well, the wolf might be like, you and I are the same. Why are we treated differently? And the dog says, I've got a collar, mate. So to quickly show how that might look, here is how a webcomic works. So first of all, number 1, introduce the subject matter. A wolf and a dog are meeting. Keep it simple. They're just saying, hey. Number 2, make it relatable. What has generations of living with humans been like? Dog says, we got collars. Very, very simple joke. Then you can see here what it looks like as the final comic. Howdy, brother. Hey. Introduction. Tell me, has much changed over the last few thousand years? Dog says, we got collars. Nice. Now, this comic we made with Safely Endangered in Realist Wolves, and it actually had over, I think, 50,000, maybe 100,000, something like that likes, which is, 10 times that many people saw it. So 500,000 to about, 1 million plus people saw this comic. And what we did then is we said to them, hey, if you care about this, put pressure on the government to relist wolves as an endangered species. And that was very quick, I know, but that is the principle of how you do it. It doesn't matter how you do the art, that can come later, but the principle of introduce a subject matter, make it relatable, flip the script, leave on a joke. And then sometimes, which happened for us as well, you've made the comic and you think, okay, well, actually the joke worked quite nicely, but there's another joke that comes to you afterwards. So in this case, we actually made a follow-on comic, follows the same principle. So effectively, we followed on from comic number 2 and onto this one. And it's just about the dog then stepping up and trying to save the wolf. And he does so by just putting a collar on it. So yeah, you can also sometimes just take an idea, run with it, and take that same 4-panel comic method and that kind of that methodology, and then make a second one. So take the idea and go again. So yeah, just have some fun, but just always remember, introduce, make it relatable, leave on a joke. Thanks a lot.